Hello, loves. How are you? I know it's been a while, but there's multiple things that I want to share with you. And some of it is that I have actually had so many different things that I've wanted to share here on this channel, but nothing specific was actually landing. And I came to this realization that I was attempting to micromanage the universe on some levels. And what I mean by that is, how I normally work is I just literally get in my flow. Sometimes I freestyle, sometimes very specific messages come through, and sometimes I have so many messages coming through. I actually use oracle or tarot cards, not in a traditional sense, but in a way to sort of just know which messages to focus on and also sort of just open up if there's anything I'm not seeing as I'm getting into the messages that will be beneficial for whoever is watching these. Because I feel like if you found them, there's something beneficial in here for you, whether it's one little message or code or just being in the energy, whatever it is that supports you. But the bottom line is, I was sort of in this energy of in my mind not wanting to use cards here for whatever reason. Again, I was micromanaging the universe and the way that spirit works with me. Because, like I said, I don't really do it in a traditional sense, but I do have different ways that I communicate with the higher power. And part of it is just the cards, but symbolism in the world and just ways that I've built my own levels of understanding with what's coming through, trusting myself, trusting what's being presented to me, and then just literally sharing what's coming through. And so I wanted to start out with that because I also felt perhaps this energy in this message may be relevant for some of you. Now, I also am a firm believer that there is divine timing. And so, this realization that I was somewhat trying to control the narrative, my intentions were coming from a good place. But ultimately, at the end of the day, my higher self and soul was like, just let it flow, just do what you do, and trust and know that the people who will benefit from it will find you. Exactly, because my energy is what it is, and I am who I am. And so there's no reason to sort of try to shift that in any way. Just be who you are and allow things to interact with you that want to interact with you. Okay. I guess what's coming through when I'm talking about releasing any energies of micromanaging the universe, it's about that co-creative process, right? You are a being here on this planet in the physical world. So you have this opportunity in a really beautiful way to create things in a physical manner and or allow things to come through you in a physically expressed way. And then you have like soul and your higher self that actually has a much broader perspective of what is occurring across the planet, but also people that you don't even know yet may benefit from who you are as a being, but there's no way for you to necessarily know that up front until they come into your life, right? Kind of like me being here with you right now. And that is why not censoring ourselves and not micromanaging needing things to be a certain way can be really supportive for the creative, co-creative process with spirit. And what I mean by that is you can have a vision of what you would like to do. You can also know your skills and abilities and talents, but then you can also sort of release needing to make it fit into a box or be a certain way because there may be another way to use your abilities that are going to benefit others. Or it's something that you will actually love even more deeply than what you're doing now, but you don't even know it exists yet. And I also think that this is coming up because I feel that we are moving into unprecedented times where we are in this position in our evolution and ascension process, where we are being called to embody into new ways of being. And therefore, as we're embodying into unity consciousness and the higher ways of being in physical form, what's happening is that new creations want to be birthed or come forth from the people that are holding those levels of consciousness and actively wanting to create that in their life and on the planet. And so when we can release and sort of let go of needing it to be a certain way or thinking like this is how I know how to do it and then trying to make it that way, give yourself some space, give yourself sort of this eagle eye perspective to open up and expand and welcome in that higher energy and perspective to support you. This is what I'm sensing. I actually did a message recently on my other channel for the feminines. And what was coming through is that many have been, well, many humans, especially if you're finding my channels, are going through a lot of evolution and change and transformation and, spiritual awakening or learning about ascension or reworking how they interact in relationships and learning what their standards are and unraveling codependent type of behaviors. And so what's happening is that there's lots of levels of transformation occurring. And even though you may have grown to one degree, that's been a big transformation for you. What I'm sensing is that many are almost like a pot-bound plant and actually ready to be repotted or planted directly in the soil to continue to expand and to grow. Okay. And I really, for some reason, feel quite deeply that many are at this precipice point of being called to go to their next levels or to really give space to allow these new creations to sort of form or come to fruition. And I want to share with you what feels really good when you just allow this to happen, when you sort of just open up and surrender to the higher power and ask for the flowing guidance of what to do next, sort of even a one step at a time sort of energy. What happens is as the right pathway starts to sync up, you'll notice that your system relaxes, that it feels easy and more effortless. Or you can sort of, if you're moving into something new that you haven't done, you can sort of make it more easy and effortless by giving yourself, say, a time frame to just practice or to dabble or to play around. And I've been actually thinking about this here because although I've been doing videos for a while, I'm not entirely sure what this channel wants to become. And part of that is because whoever resonates with me and shows up here and decides to co-create with me in these videos is going to dictate what comes through. So it's really just not all about me. You see what I mean? Or the things that I'm thinking it might be. It's really about however our higher selves connect us together and what is it that's going to be beneficial to come through on this channel for whoever shows up here with me, and how can we continue to evolve and ascend together in a co-creative, supportive manner. You see what I mean? So I'm thinking I'm just gonna sort of open up and dibble dabble and allow different things to come through to see what resonates, to see what lands, to see what feels good for those of you that are showing up here with me. And I feel like this is coming through in this way so that I can actually show you an example of what I'm speaking about. Okay. Sometimes it's not about knowing every single detail. Sometimes it's just about showing up in your authenticity, in your heart, and just being open to allow the energies to co create, not just with spirit and your higher self, but with the people who are meant to be a part of your cr- existence, your creation, your life, your experience here, especially as we're moving into the new energies. All right. So, without further ado, I know that I ended up bringing through a bunch of messages without the cards, but now I'm also going to engage in the other ways that I connect with spirit and bring forth another message for you. And let's see what will be the most beneficial for those of you here with me. I'm seeing to pick one of these. Okay, this is so funny. Of course, it's perspective. What a beautiful card. And it's so beautiful to me. I'm noticing right out of the gate that she's holding the world in her hands. And I love how this pertains to this overall message that I'm bringing through about sort of panning out your perspective. Now, she's coming through to me as this energy and essence of the higher self, right? Of this higher aspect of you that can see the bigger picture and isn't necessarily limited by that physical human perspective or reality. But there's a really important process that happens within this because your higher self needs you in your physical human form on this planet just as much as you need that higher perspective. Okay. Because you're the one with the boots on the ground who can bring the visions to fruition in physicality. And so it feels very important to equally honor who you are as a human being. And just the fact that you're open to broadening your perspective to work with all of these parts of yourself and setting that intention to open up to co-create with your higher self and the higher power in new and deeper ways. Okay. If you have any questions about that or you want me to go deeper into some of that, let me know. Feel free to drop things in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But I do, I want to actually, with this, when I pick these oracles, they're kind of like a bigger message. And then sometimes for me, I'm just sharing with you how I work for whatever reason. I like to bring in like a tarot for more of like that physical world embodiment, like that boots on the ground, like what's happening in our day-to-day life. What are things that we can do to facilitate this perspective in bringing it into physicality and in embodying it in a way that actually works for our lives on this planet, right? Because we can understand the higher spiritual concepts, but actually embodying them and living them in this world is something different entirely. And I know for any of you who have experienced that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you can understand a concept, you're intelligent enough to understand it, but then you have this way that you've been living and the way that the world works in general. And sometimes those concepts take a little bit of time to integrate so that you can live them in your day-to-day life in a way that actually allows you to still interact with others, right? That is the embodiment process. All right, what do we got? Okay. So this actually is speaking to me immediately about this concept of this sort of higher self physical world embodiment. And what I'm picking up on this is where some of you may have felt frustrated attempting to hear or listen to your higher self, or you're doing it and you know others who are sort of having a hard time with it, or what's coming through is almost like where there's just sort of like other things distracting away from that higher self connection. And with this Queen of Swords coming out as well, I feel like there's more with this. Just give me a moment. There's something that wants to come through for you. It does. What it's coming through for me is sort of like how the crows are like a bridge, and there's crows on both of these cards. And what is coming through is sort of like if this idea of embodying your higher self or talking to your higher self can feel really like far-fetched or almost overwhelming, right? When you've learned to live your life a certain way and everyone around you is living that way. And even if you want to connect with the higher energies or understand the messages you're receiving, you may go through a time where it feels overwhelming or even might seem silly, right? And I know a lot of you probably will be excited to connect with your higher self, but you may, again, come into new concepts or experience things that you feel excited about and then they feel overwhelming. Okay, that's it. It's almost like you get the concept and then you want to become it, you want to embody it, but you're not sure how to go about it. What's coming through is that's okay. Again, it's not about having to figure it out all in a day or a week or even a month. All you really have to do is start to set the intention that you would like to embody these higher energies, that you want to open up those abilities and those gifts and those ways of being, or you want to build on and expand upon the ones you've already been working with, and give yourself that space to integrate and learn the new perspectives. When I feel this energy, I feel like there is a bridging energy that wants to come through. You can start to ask to be shown people, places, things, videos, meditations, articles, anything that's going to help inspire you to the path that's going to support your process of opening up these capabilities and new ways of being. There's so many different ways that it doesn't have to be one specific way or roadmap, and that feels important. It's really what I find is that it's most important that you take the pressure off yourself. You take this energy of feeling frustrated or maybe not good enough or feeling behind in just holding yourself in grace and perspective and realize that you're at this point right now because now it's the timing for you to work with this. You were working with other things up until this point because that information was all very important as well. Okay. Every experience you've ever had is relevant and important and part of your process and part of the unique ability, the unique expression of who you are. And so, even as you're opening these new perspectives and new abilities, you're going to realize over time that the new things you're learning eventually will sync up and sort of integrate with who you've always been, but now you're just allowing yourself to evolve and expand into more of who you are. You've always been you, but what you're doing in this process is actually getting to know more of you in a new perspective. Perhaps this perspective is outside of what you've always known or what you were always told. And now you're on this new exploration of discovering more about yourself. So you can release the frustration that you don't know these things because you can't know what you don't know until you know it, right? So hold yourself in grace and perspective and give yourself some time to sort of integrate and contemplate the shifts that are happening for you. And if you're further along on this journey, like I said, and you're in this space where you're thinking about sharing things publicly or moving into something new, or maybe you want to go deeper into studying spiritual concepts or learning how to embody them deeper, whatever it is, whatever brought you here today, it's perfect. It's beautiful. And you're exactly where you're meant to be. And all you have to do is give yourself some time and some space and some grace to open up and to having some space to actually make room to bring these new ways of being into your life. That's actually an important part of the ascension process because we've been living in a certain way, right? And then when we come across these new ways of being, we need to move from that one pot into a new, bigger pot, right? Like the pot-bound plant we spoke about. And that is where you actually start to realize how much more you're capable of, but not in a way of putting yourself down, in a way of being excited that there's so much more to you than you ever knew. And now you have this time in this new adventure in front of you to get to know more and more of who you actually are, right? Releasing that micromanagement of the universe, releasing the micromanagement of your own creation, but also getting to know all of those things in between so that you can step more fully and deeply into whatever it is you're meant here to experience and provide in the world. Right. And with that, your purpose is to just be you, loves. Your main purpose is to be you, to go on this exploration, to love yourself deeper, to get to know yourself deeper, and allow these energies to open up and bloom and blossom in the perfect and divine timing. The same way you cannot force a seed to sprout or a plant to bear fruit faster, hold yourself in that nurturing and nourishing energy and just allow the process to open in new and deeper ways. All right, my loves, I hope this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of unfolds here with you. And for any of you who are interested, I will drop my information in the pinned comment if you would like to connect for a session or check out my other work. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Sending you so much love. Take care. Bye.